Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy far and sun.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello there, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This is Todd Hoffman and Trent Hoffman. You're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 202. Today, we'll be talking about episode 7. We're going to be in so much trouble from the Skeleton Crew. Unfortunately, my little buddy Trent Hoffman couldn't join us for this episode, so he just got me. But hey, we're 13 days into a new year. Have you kept your New Year's resolutions? Are you starting good habits? All that stuff. I hope everyone is enjoying the new year and kicking it off in 2025. Without any further ado, let's just jump right into our main topic. All right. I mean, we got one to go, and this one was a great episode. I really did enjoy this episode. It aired on January 7th. It was runtime about 37 minutes. It was directed by Lee Isaac Chung and written by Christopher Ford and John Watts. So this one, the official description is, our heroes have never felt further from home. So we have a little bit of, again, the Spielberg-ese, a little E.T. Ambulan universe kind of going on, where we have the kids, the mom and dad are essentially creating a little kind of distress beacon single to get out to the kids. And so they have basically the safety droids know that they're out in this illegal space. It seems like there's even curfews and stuff like that. There's some very rigid, rules in Aden. But essentially everyone gets stunned. All the parents get stunned except Farah, who is, I believe that is Fern's mom, and she is able to release the communicator. The fun fact that I noticed, and then Trent's like, yeah, that seems like about right. That little communicator almost looks like E.T.'s spaceship from the movie, which is really fun. It's just I don't know. I would hate to say it's not intentional, because I feel like a lot of these design choices are intentional. And again, they're in the forest, kind of E.T., phone home stuff going on there. So that was super cool. I really like that little, again, just something I observed. So now we have we have the crew. The kids are traveling on the Onyx Cinder, and now we have essentially Brutus's frigate is also coming to Aden to understand what's going on. Jod is almost out of the airlock, but convinces the crew, and they have this fun little shanty that kind of goes on that hey, where's that the last episode? I don't know. They have this thing where basically, that was last episode. My apologies. But basically, Jod's like, the key is the ship. And so they send out a scout, and scout didn't make it. There's these barriers, almost like, I would dare I say, waypoints, kind of like in High Republic, where there's kind of these orbital stations that are creating a cloud and nebulous thing, and that's what Brutus is like. There's nothing in there. It's just gas or whatever. But it also has these kind of large lightning bolts things going on, and that's one of the things that the message is hey, you have to go get a Republic, Old Republic Republic emissary is what they said in the message, in order to get through the barrier. So apparently, again, based on what we know, is that when this was set up, like only the highest of the highest in the Republic emissaries or whatever would know about these planets, these hidden planets, and obviously Aten is kind of like the treasury of that. This is further communicated once we have. So now we have Brutus and team grabbing the Onyx Cinder, and they're in Brutus's bigger ship, and I guess they don't trust Jod enough to say, hey, there's kids in there, but there's kids, and Brutus is grabbed by the claw, and Jod takes him out. Rip, Brutus, rip. I mean, I love Brutus. He was so cool. But, yeah, so essentially, Jod is trying to convince Brutus that the key of the ship is the Onyx Cinder. Brutus is not really buying it, but then, the kids grab him with the claw, and then Jod takes control and essentially kills them, and then he kind of does like a little, like flipperoonie little pirates thing where he wants to take control of the ship, and essentially, that's what happens. At this time, the message of the parents comes up. The kids are able to see that their parents are alive and doing well and worried about them. And that's, again, where the message comes from about, like, hey, this is we care about you, and you have to find a Republic emissary is really the message. And Wendell basically adds, the Republic emissary is an official who knows how to find Aten and get through the barrier. So it's possible that not only the Onyx Cinder is a key, but the emissary has some codes or some overrides that allow ships to pass freely into the barrier, which is super cool. But and so basically, Jod could not be. SM-33 gets into some little pirate lore and basically says, okay, you can't be in control of two ships at once. You can only be in control of a captain of one ship. And so essentially, Jod takes control of the Onyx Cinder because he knows that is the key to Aten. They try to fight back a little bit, but essentially that does not happen, and he does take the kids and essentially basically says, hey, if you don't follow the plan, I'm going to gut your parents. I mean, that's basically what he says. It's kind of crazy. And then the robots, once they land with the ship, they get through the barrier, through the ship, and they're home. And then they land as an emissary ship, and they go down like a bazillion layers. But here is where we find out that what we thought was true is true. There's just a ton of Republic credits, these huge vaults of old Republic credits. I mean, so much credits is going on. Like, they've been just printing these High Republic credits, these gold, and obviously Aten has some kind of resources for this gold, and they're just continuing to print. And there's a little nod to George. Essentially, here's the first vault, and the planet has 1,139 volts. So it's like this one and 1,138, which is a reference to THX 1138. Little nudge, nudge, wink, wink, which is super, super cool. Love kind of that stuff. So Jod is just beside himself with the amount of credits and wealth that's at Aten. It's impeccable. So really, then the parents arrive. Parents and children hug. They get together, and then Jod lights the lightsaber. And it's kind of left like, is he going to pretend to be an emissary, or is he a good guy? We don't know. So really, there's really two mysteries left. So we knew going into this that there's a wealth of some sort at Aden. It's confirmed in this episode that it's a mint, and they've been printing money. Money. All the gold you want. Pure gold. Lots of gold. So the only two questions are, who is the supervisor or overseer of at Aden? Is it a robot? Is it a human? Who knows? Somebody knows, because like there is definitely some ignorance going on from the people on this planet that they think there's a lot of history. They don't know what's happening in the galaxy, which is kind of crazy. So it's very limited. And again, using some of the Old Republic, if you're into the books or whatever, the great work was one of the things that the Chancellor wanted to do in that show. So you have a lot of that going on, that this is part of the great work, and so they are just doing this for generations, I guess. I don't know. It just seems a little odd, but there you go. No one leaves the planet, which is bizarro to me. But anyways, now we have this really control of the robots, or the droids really, and just understanding that, like, what is the supervisor? Is the supervisor actually there in Aden? Is it somewhere else? Is there any, dark side? I mean, you got to think with the amount of resources the Emperor has, like, did he not know about these hidden planets? Who knows? It's very vague on that connection. So that's one big thing. Like, who's the supervisor? The other big thing that Trent and I have been talking a lot about is, like, is Jod, where does Jod sit? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he in between? Is he just like a pirate? Again, following the bounty, kind of like the bounty hunters of Star Wars. Boba Fett is both kind of good and bad, if you will. Even Cad Bane, kind of good, bad. Kind of follow that code of that, like where the money is where the loyalty is for the pirate or the bounty hunter. But I'm just not sure. Like, there's a lot. Jod is very layered. I love Jude Law in this role and what he's doing for Skeleton Crew, but it's still kind of open on, like, what is actually happening with Jod. Like, what, clearly wealth and gold is his moneymaker, and that's definitely a drive for him. But the idea of him being a good guy is possible. Obviously, we know he has a little Force. He's Force adept and knows a little bit about the Force, but we don't, again, we don't know if he was a former Padawan. We don't know any of that stuff. So there's a lot of loose ends, if you will, understanding if he's going to, continue to threaten the kids, or it's all front to help him, just like, hey, let me take a little bit of a cut. I just need a new ship and all this stuff and get out of here. Because again, from the beginning of the series, when they raid the one ship and they think it's a huge bounty, it's like one credit left. So John might be like, dude, just give me a cut and I'm out. It's fine. So it's really hard to say that, it's still, I can't read Jod enough to say, is he bad or good? People are already kind of saying that, he's already shown his hand, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think there's still a lot of fun and mystery with him left. And that's the thing. Again, say what you will about the Acolyte. For us, it was not our favorite series. And one thing that is definitely gone better, I think, in Skeleton Crew is the mystery. Like, who's the stranger, blah, blah, blah. That was like superly figured out right away. And I think the mystery, even though they were kind of doing a disjointed timeline to throw things off, it wasn't a true, I just didn't find the mystery in that intriguing enough. Where here it's like, okay, what's going on? Why don't, there's so many different like little things that you're like, okay, seems pretty normal planet. They just want, kids want to have adventure. And then when they get out, it's like, no one's heard of Aden, and what does this mean? And like, there's a lot of that little stuff that has built over time, which is great. I'm very sad to see it come to an end, but here we go, episode 8, and it's happening. It's going to happen. So we have basically one more week to figure this out, and then it's over. Say it ain't so. So simple again for light it all up. What has been your favorite thing so far about Skeleton Crew? Please email us at bigtltpodcast@gmail.com. Or, I'd love to see, do you think Jod is good or bad or whatever? So that should be, interesting, and see where he comes into that. So please email us at bigtltpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what's your thoughts? What do you think? All that fun stuff. And we would love to read your question or your comment, and we would love to throw swag in your face. So, okay, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rogue Princesses, thank you again for listening to official 202 episode of Big T Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Where can you find us on the socials? Big T Little T podcast Instagram, BLILT podcast on Twitter, and twitch.tv/Big T Little T on the old Twitch. Hey, again, we got stickers. We want to hear from you. So comment, tweet, write us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and email us again at bigtltpodcast@gmail.com. And we'd love to send some stuff your way. Again, next week, Skeleton Crew, last episode. Here we go. I totally forgot about this at the beginning of the show. Go see Wicked. I know it's out, I think, on digital release already. We took the family to go see it this weekend, and we loved it. Jen and I saw the play many, many years ago, and it's very cool to see this in a cinematic, remake of the play. It is so good, and it's very Star Wars. I could see why George approved and loved it. So it's a George Lucas approved movie, and it's also a Big T, Little T approved movie. So if that sets you up, then good. You got to go see that movie. It's really, really fun and super exciting. And it's really, really a well done movie, and visually it's great. So kudos to Wicked and Universal Pictures, all that fun stuff. All right, so next week is Skeleton Crew episode 8. We're going to be talking about that. Now remember, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the force be with you always. Bye, 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 bye.